Hey, good morning, guys. Today we're going to be looking at the El Nino and La Nina phenomenons for environmental science. All right, so which weather phenomenon has the largest impact on the weather in the U.S.? And people don't use it, especially the Western U.S. And people don't really think about it that much, but it's actually El Nino and La Nina. They have huge impacts on rainfall, weather systems throughout the country, really. So it's a big impact, right? And the definitions over them. Okay, so La Nina. This is when cold surface temperatures on the water in the Pacific are pushed toward South America, really Central and South America. Okay, and it's caused by really strong easterly trade winds, and this causes a lot of upwelling from the nutrient, like the cold depths of the ocean comes into the surface. So we're going to talk about this a little bit deeper in a second. All right. El Nino is when warm surface water from the Pacific is pushed toward the North America, really Central and South America. It also impacts North America as well. But light is really weak easterly winds cause this to go, and very little upwelling. Not much of the cold water from the depths of the Pacific come up to the surface. Okay. So simplified, El Nino is abnormal heating. La Nina is abnormal cooling of the Pacific Ocean, okay, of the ocean surfaces. Right? And this is a couple of just a background information. Like El Nino means the Christ child or the boy. La Nina means little girl. So basic stuff. Time pattern, El Nino usually lasts about 12 to 18 months, can go to 2 years, usually about 12 to 18 months. La Nina is typically shorter, a little bit less than a year usually. All right, the causes, again, El Nino is caused by trade winds that are weak, and they allow warm water from the Pacific to flow east into Central and South America. La Nina is caused by really strong easterly winds that push the cold water along the Eastern Pacific, but also cause a lot of upwelling of nutrients and cold water from the depths of the Pacific Ocean. Just going over the winds again, like I just talked about. Now we're looking at the movement of ocean water, because this is very important when we look at El Nino and weather patterns. Surface ocean currents, those are controlled by the wind, and this only goes down. The surface currents are only about a quarter mile deep or so, and it's about 10% of all the ocean currents going on. Okay, so you might think a quarter mile is pretty deep, but the Pacific Ocean is super, super deep. So is the Atlantic, but the Pacific is really deep. All right, so ocean currents are controlled by the wind. Deep ocean currents are more controlled by like the density and the temperature of the water. So as water has more salt in it, it's more dense or heavier, basically, and it sinks to the bottom. Also, cold water sinks to the bottom. But there's also all these upwelling, all these cycling of currents they cycle all the nutrients and the temperature around the Pacific. And when La Nina is happening, this is happening big time and bringing a lot of that cold water up from the depths. All right, so upwelling, like I just mentioned, is when we bring cold but also nutrient-rich waters from the bottom of the ocean to the surface. And what this does is it encourages a lot of plant growth, and also lots of phytoplankton start growing because you have all those nutrients there. All right, this happens usually along the coast, but it causes lots of animal diversity because all these phytoplankton and the plants, which are the base of the food chain, bring all these other consumers in. All right, so lots of fish activity going on when this is happening. And now we're looking at some of the damage. So El Nino, and we're looking at specifically at North America or the United States right now, okay? So floods in the Pacific states, which is needed because California is usually really dry. So this helps with, there's a lot of the dryness and the wildfires. Tornadoes along the Midwest, and so central plains and stuff like that, and going into Ohio and Kentucky area, lots of tornadoes. Severe thunderstorms down here in Georgia, right? So we get a lot warmer weather, so it makes it during the wintertime, and it causes lots of conflict of weather, so it causes thunderstorms. The Northeast, they're still really, really cold up there. They're getting a lot more rainfall, but it turns into snow. So they typically have really snowy winters. La Nina is a lot milder outcomes and our effects. So a lot drier and milder along the south here. Droughts in the southeast because it's colder, so we're sucking up a lot of the possible water or rain we're getting. Unusually cold temperatures along the Pacific coast. So this area here is a lot colder. What else is that? Northeast usually has periods of cold, but they're going to be actually a little bit warmer. All right, so short-lived warm cold episodes in the wintertime. So a little bit different. Now we're just going to look at some of the things like brush fires in Texas, La Nina, right? Increased tropical storms along the Atlantic, or this is right here is actually a picture of the Pacific. So this is typhoons. You see 3 of them going on right here at one time because the Western Pacific over in Southeast Asia during La Nina is warmer. So it's causing a lot more storms and tropical storms. Hurricane along this is right here. There's Florida, there's Georgia. This is Hurricane Floyd that hits right along the South Carolina coast. Big hurricane. It was from La Nina. And also floods in Australia because you're getting warmer along the Western Pacific. So Australia is the Southwest Pacific. It's warmer, so it rains a lot more when it's warmer. Right? A lot more warm atmosphere. El Nino, this is when you have the warm water, so you have less nutrients. The anchovy population, which is one of the bases of the food chain along the Peru coast, it goes down. So now you're impacting the fishing industry down there.